In 1978, Reverend David Lambert called a meeting of local folk to start North Ormesby Minstrels, based in the parish church hall. The first theatrical performance of the show, Black and White Minstrels, was opened for audiences to see. Thus sparked the birth of a small theatrical amateur group known as the Minstrels, and for 40 years on, it had over 400 performances, 250 involved artists, 65,000 audience members, and multiple awards given to them from the NODA. But in the year 2020, like for all other amateur theatre groups, the show could not go on and they had to close their doors for now. And I'll be talking with them to see how they've managed in lockdown and what they did to fight the coronavirus and what the future holds for them.
Hi, I'm Marie Turnbull and I'm a member of the North Ormesby Minstrels.
Hello, my name is Gary. I'm a member of North Ormesby Minstrels. I am the Vice Chair of the company.
So my name's Gita Bambara. I'm a therapy radiographer and I've been with the Minstrels for about 6 years.
My name's Laura and I've been a member of the Minstrels since 2014.
And I'm James Foster, who have been a member ever since 2017. So, how much does the Minstrels mean to you?
It meant a lot, and it means a lot because, sorry, I don't mean to talk about it in the past because obviously it is going to be something that returns. I've got all faith, but yeah, it's because music and musical theatre mean a lot to me. The Minstrels meant a lot to me because they are such a family and everyone's so nice. It made even more, like, it was even more special to me. It wasn't just a group that you went to and went home to. It was a group that you were part of, so it meant a lot.
It's a huge part actually of my sort of social side. I love going on a Sunday. I love going there to unwind, and also for the friends and what have you there. So it means quite a lot.
Minstrels means everything. We're not just an amateur theatre company. We're an extremely close group of friends. We're kind of like an extended family. Obviously, I've been with the group since I was 13, so that's a hell of a lot of years, and we've kind of grown up together. A lot of our membership has been there for all of that time, so births, deaths, marriages, we know each other very well, and obviously putting on a production involves working together extremely closely within quite intensive rehearsals, so we do spend quite a lot of time in each other's company, pre-COVID, of course, unfortunately.
To be honest, everything. I live alone, I'm not married, so it's actually practically all of my social life. So it has, and it's like about 78% of my friends are in these Minstrels. So all my social activity, 2-3 nights a week, I was going off to the Minstrels. When I wasn't at the Minstrels, I was setting dances, finding scripts, finding costumes, finding props. So actually, it was you don't realise until it's gone how much something is really.
How have you managed without it?
I've really missed it. I've really missed the social side of it. Also doing stuff on stage, it's like, if you're having a bad day, if you go on prance about on stage for a couple of hours, you feel really good, and singing and messing around with your mates is really good. So I really missed it during this time.
So I've had to find different outlets. So I've kind of like joined groups on Facebook that are about musical theatre. I've took my own singing lessons. Just spent more time doing things that I enjoy in my own time on my own.
been bored. To be honest, initially it's like it was due to come to panto season, and normally I'm really stressed and I'm run off my feet. I've got 101 jobs to do. So initially, like, oh, this is lovely. I'm not going to have to worry about anything. I'm not stressing about anything. But eventually, you do think, oh yeah, I'm bored now. And it's just exercise, just things like seeing people, doing exercise, just everything.
It's been a huge loss. Obviously, when you're putting on a show, you might be rehearsing 2 or 3 times a week. I live in Newcastle, so I travel down to Middlesbrough, although Middlesbrough is my hometown. I've lived in Newcastle since 1995. So if you've got a kind of a principal part in the show, you have to do script rehearsals, then you have to do the chorus rehearsals to learn the music and the blocking, and it's an immense amount of time spent traveling up and down the A19, and obviously spending that time with friends and people that you love. So to suddenly have that kind of taken away from us is it's been really difficult.
Has the Minstrels still remain active during lockdown?
It has actually. They've done quite a few Zoom things. So we've had Zoom quizzes and Zoom calls and sort of murder fun night. I think we did one time, and we did quizzes. So yeah, it has actually tried to remain active, and we've been in contact with each other over Facebook page as well. So yeah.
Initially, we were doing every week. We had on a Friday night, we had like on Sunday night when we would rehearse, we had quizzes. So, you know, for about 8 weeks, we all like everyone was doing a quiz with musical quiz, a normal quiz, and lots of different things going on. And then eventually, it all sort of petered out a bit, and it all sort of died a death because there's only so many quizzes you can do. And then we're still meeting every 2-3 months as a committee. So we're having committee meetings just to say we still can't do anything, can we? No, we can't. But then we mostly gossip, and that's via Zoom. And then when we come up to Christmas, we got right. We did something for like once a month instead of once a week. So I think it was October, we did a murder mystery, which was hilarious because nobody had prepped. I sent everyone the scripts, I sent everyone their lines, and then when they came to what the lines, like, I haven't got any lines. Who sent me lines? So it was actually really funny, but it shouldn't have been really funny. It was just that everyone was so disorganized, but it was a good night. And then the month after, I don't know what we did in November. I thought maybe that was November, and we had a quiz. We had Christmas part, like Christmas quiz, and we had Secret Santa. So I'd sent everybody names, and I'd been and collected all the parcels and dropped all the parcels off. So online, we all opened our Secret Santa presents. There was something. There was a third one. We did 3 months, and again, it's died to death. After Christmas, we haven't really done anything, and we just had an AGM last Sunday, where we agreed, we still can't really risk doing anything, meeting. We found out that Matthew, our musical director, has just been told he needs a shield, so he wouldn't be able to attend rehearsals. So we're at a bit of still in the same position, really, of we don't know what we can do.
Sort of, but not in terms of putting on shows. But we've stayed in touch with each other. We've got a private Facebook group. So everything about the group has kind of remained to an extent, except the actual reason that we are a group, if that makes sense. So like all the benefits of being a minstrel have stayed, but the actual purpose of it hasn't. Like, we haven't put on any shows, we haven't met in person, obviously we've followed all the rules, but all the sort of everybody's birthday there's been like things done for them, every sort of benefit to being a member, just like the family element of it and being in touch is still ongoing in the group. But yeah, no shows, can't do anything like that.
We have in some way. We've not been active from a performance point of view, obviously, because that's not been allowed within the rules since the beginning of the pandemic. I know other societies, other theatre companies have been able to produce some things online, and we have thought about it, but it's you have to have a company that's extremely kind of tech savvy. It's actually quite difficult to do. And to produce something that is engaging is quite hard work. And I have seen a few online productions from professional and amateur theatre companies, and some of them have been good, some of them have been so, and we don't want to do kind of, Minstrels has always tried to kind of create a product that's of a very high production values, and we don't want to do anything kind of half-hearted that doesn't kind of reach those values. So we've met kind of Zoom meetings, Zoom social events, quizzes. Prior to the lockdown, we had a bit of kind of social time, kind of going out for like a socially distance kind of picnic, that kind of thing. But obviously since lockdown came into force, we haven't been able to meet at all. So we did have a committee meeting last night just to keep the wheels turning and kind of back office things still running. And we're all in touch, kind of whether that's on a one-to-one or kind of on a group level as well, via kind of online or chats, or even just picking up the phone. We all know that kind of during the pandemic, communicating with friends and loved ones is important. So we're trying our best to do that.
In 2003, they transferred from the old hall to the Trinity Centre to take up new challenges of performing in a multi-purpose space. And to this day, this old hall has been demolished and is still under construction.
WHO has been assessing this outbreak around the clock, and we're deeply concerned both by the alarming levels of spread and severity and by the alarming levels of inaction. We have therefore made the assessment that COVID-19 can be characterized as a pandemic.
How difficult has it been living in lockdown since you live alone?
To be honest, the one thing is I'm a radiographer doing cancer treatment, so work hasn't stopped. So mine, like Monday to Friday, 9 till 5 life. I still get up, get dressed, go to work. And obviously I've got loads of people to work to chat to, come home. But I mean, I'd go home on a Friday and I probably wouldn't see anyone apart from ringing my mother on the phone. I wouldn't actually speak to a soul until I got back to work on the Monday. So it is like really weird, because even just like nipping out to the shops, you don't nip out to shops, you go to one shop once a week to buy my food. And that's it. That's all I'm doing. Because like normally I pop into B&M, pop into Pound Strip, you know, just go all over the place, just nipping into shops. And of course you can't do that now. So you are like a bit housebound, really. I did actually, between lockdowns, find a dance class. And me and Geet, one of the other Minstrel members, actually went to a sort of Latin American dance class in Great Ayton, and then lockdown came again and we got stopped.
Really hard. I think everybody's finding it really hard. Same thing really, family, missing family, not being able to see family, missing your friends, socializing. Yeah, so it's been tough, like everybody. It's been tough.
Well, I've been working for a lot of it, so I've still had some routine, I've still had some normality, but obviously you don't have your freedom. There's a significant kind of restriction of your liberties. You can only meet one person outside for exercise. All of the kind of venues that we might frequent for social activities like restaurants or bars or things like that are all closed. So it's hard, and I think we've all found it hard at different times for different reasons. But obviously we're hopefully heading slowly and tentatively out of it now. So and we had a very positive, constructive meeting last night. So we have a light at the end of the tunnel, and we've got things to look forward to. And certainly within the membership, we've still got a kind of, although we've not been active from a performance point of view, members are still chomping at the bit, and they're desperate to get back on stage to start rehearsing for productions again. So we haven't lost anyone.
Personally, not too difficult, but I'm privileged, so I have like everything I need at home, like financially comfortable. living live in England, safe, not living in a war-torn country. I'm not living in, I live with sanitation. Do you know what I mean? So for me, I think personally, you've got to take stock that it's been quite easy, but I know other people it hasn't been as easy. So I would say it's just been a bit disheartening. It hasn't been hard, it's just been disheartening, and just hard because obviously you don't see people, but on the whole it's not been hard, it's just been a bit sad.
When you first heard of COVID-19, did you think it would affect the Minstrels?
Without a doubt, our organization is a large group of people, and to stage a production we have to work kind of quite closely together, and that's work closely physical proximity, and closely in all of the things that we need to do to stage a show. And obviously we can't stage a show without an audience, and an audience is a large room crammed full of people. And during a pandemic you just can't have people in that close proximity. We have the social distancing for a reason. So it absolutely was going to put a stop to any of our usual activities, and sadly I think some groups have folded during the pandemic because of kind of financial reasons or other reasons, but I think Minstrels has got an extremely long history, and we've always got a massive amount of enthusiasm within the kind of performing membership, the creative teams, and everyone that kind of supports us, that kind of works behind the scenes as well. So constantly we're having people asking us, when are you doing the next show? When can you start rehearsals again? So I think we've kind of got everyone's in the wings, shall we say, waiting to get back on that stage. And audiences, we've got I think we've got a very regular audience base, and they tend to come and see everything we do. They understand kind of what we're going through at the moment, and that we'll be back with them as soon as it's safe for us to meet as a company, and as soon as it's safe for us to have a room full of people enjoying one of our shows.
Yes, I did. I knew when it was going to be locked down in this country, then I knew that anything that was social that involved many people meeting was going to be affected. So yeah, I thought it would do straight away.
That was one of my first thoughts when I heard how serious it was going to be, and it was going to start, that we were talking about lockdowns and we were talking about how it was going to affect. That is actually one of my first thoughts after obviously my family and work, was the Minstrels aren't going to be able to meet. We aren't going to be able to do the show, because I was getting ready to audition. I was thinking about auditioning for a part, so I was going over the songs months before, getting excited because they'd announced, and yeah, I thought, oh well, don't need to practice that anymore because that just won't happen.
Stupidly no, because initially I don't think any of us had any concept of how big it was going to get and how widespread. I mean, initially we were like, oh well, maybe we'll just put the summer show back, maybe we'll do it in September, or maybe we'll do it in this, and then maybe the January, maybe we could do the panto in January or February. Every time I think we've been very optimistic about, oh, it'll be over soon, we'll soon be able to just go back to, and now it's like, a year later and we're still in the same boat.
You're the first person that said no. Everyone that I talked to said yes in some way.
No, I think I'm an optimist. I'm very, very, I never look at the backside. I always think it's positive. So I think, just think, oh, it'll be, but then it didn't go anywhere.
Have you worked through the pandemic?
Yeah, I worked from home. I've worked from home since February 2019. So like a year before COVID. It was just the way that I ended up going back to work after having my daughter. I wasn't ready to come back, but they wanted me back, and I was privileged enough to sort of leave if I needed to. But so we worked out something between ourselves where I worked very part-time but from home. So I was set up that way. I've popped into the office on occasion before COVID, and then since COVID I've only popped into the office once. But yeah, so for me, that was kind of normal. But yeah, I've barring them putting me on furlough for financial reasons, because I'm in the marketing department, so that means that like it's expenditure they don't have to be making when things are bad. But apart from that, I've kept working. Yeah.
I have, yes. I'm a nurse, so I've been working more or less throughout. I'm just changing jobs at the moment, so I'm not working right now. I'm just waiting for the start date for my new job. And I think if I wasn't working, I think it would have been a much bigger challenge. It would have been quite a struggle because obviously, you can only go out for exercise and you can't socialize. So you kind of sat at home wondering what other jobs you can do in the house, and there's only so many kind of cupboards you can sort, or DIY tasks, gardening that you can kind of do before you think, like, okay, that's my tick list done. Like I have nothing else to do now. I've watched everything on Netflix and Amazon Prime, so work's been a lifesaver. And I think I know that a lot of friends of mine who've not been working have struggled, but I've worked throughout. Obviously, working as a nurse is during a pandemic is challenging as well, but it's been fine.
So we've never stopped. We've got a different type of cancer patients because obviously there's no screening going on. So like breast screening, rectal screening things for the older patients, that all stopped. So there was a whole, but then we got a load of patients who normally have surgery, and because there's no ICU beds, we've got a load of cancer patients who normally have the tumour whipped out at needing radiotherapy because there's no beds to give them the surgery. So we have never stopped.
Yes, I have worked in a hospital, so yeah, I've been working throughout.
So was it like very stressful?
Yeah, it's very stressful. We've had lots of changes. Obviously, now we have to all wear PPE. There's lots more checks that have been put in place for patients. We have treated COVID patients as well, so that's obviously quite stressful if you're treating a COVID patient. So yeah, it has been stressful.
Yeah.
Just gone 7 o'clock. Good morning, watching BBC Breakfast, and we have some breaking news for you this morning, because in the last few minutes we've heard that the first coronavirus vaccine has been approved for use in the UK by the Medicines and Healthcare Products Regulatory Agency.
MHRA, as you may know. Now, this has been manufactured by the US pharmaceutical company Pfizer and its partner BioNTech. Data released last month showed that this vaccine is 95% effective. This is after the trial. So let's put this into context, shall we?
Yeah. The UK, if you remember, has 10 million doses available by the end of the year. Now, that is enough to vaccinate 5 million people. There are another 30 million ordered as well, which the hope was, you might remember the Health Secretary Matt Hancock telling us when he was live on the day that it was first announced, will come at some stage next year. And reports suggest vaccinations will begin in the next few days.
What do you think of the future for the Minstrels?
Well, we met on Sunday night, actually. We had a committee meeting on Sunday night, and it's like, although it looks like we're coming out of it now, and we risk doing something, we can't risk doing anything that's going to cost a lot of money. So the summer shows involve thousands and thousands of pounds of money. The rights are over £1,000 for a musical, and the musical director and the band cost £3,000, £4,000. And we aren't a group that's got enough money to lose that sort of money. So they did say if we did do something, we'd have to do something that cost nothing or very little, that you could pull at the last minute. So something like a concert, because if we do concerts, you don't have to pay anybody any rights, because you can like do one-off songs. You don't pay anybody for anything because the hall has an entertainment license. So if we do anything in the summer, September time, it would have to be something that's cheap. Sounds awful. Something that's cheap to put on, that we can literally pull if we have to, and think, oh well, we've only lost. You probably use the costume you've got in the costume store. You just. And the other thing is, will the audience come? Because we've got quite an elderly audience, and they'll probably be scared to come and sit next to somebody else in a hall full of people. So it's all like can we put the money in and risk it, but also, will anyone come?
I think it's a difficult question to give a firm answer on, because none of us ever know what's around the corner. But for now, like I said, we have a very enthusiastic membership. We have excellent creative team. We have an excellent kind of support team backstage. So we have all of the elements that we need to continue to be successful. It may be that kind of in however many years' time, we don't have the right creative talent to produce a show. And at that time, we might have to kind of review our circumstances and decide whether we do have a future. But I think for as long as we've got enthusiasm and we've got creativity and we've got support, then we have a future.
It's fine. It'll be absolutely fine. It'll bounce back perfectly fine. Once everything's finished after lockdown, I can see there's no problem with the future. It's been going for nearly 30, 40 years. So yeah, it won't stop.
I'm not on the committee, so I don't know the any discussions that have taken part, but the optimist in me just sees the future of the Minstrels being going back to how it was, hopefully.
So you think it'll be like the old days again?
I hope so, yeah. I can't see it any other way. Like I could see maybe a few years of sort of socially distanced things, but I don't know how that would impact the group financially, because obviously they are a not-for-profit group, but every show costs so much money, and you know they have so much money from the previous show to put against that. So I think if they were to put the shows would still cost the same, I think, to put on, because it's like the scripts, the stage, like if you weren't to sell the right amount of tickets, and I don't think that they could, with the type of people that come to see the shows, I don't think they could charge like more or double. So I think that they would I don't know how long they could go on like that. So I'm just being optimistic and thinking that in a few years things will go back to how they were, where you can have like people in a theatre.
Do you think the minstrels will change after the pandemic?
I think we all have to change, not just amateur theatre companies, but I think everyone's going to have to change kind of how they view things, how they interact. Obviously, this is kind of one particular virus, and we now have a vaccine, and we're looking at kind of getting some level of normality back, but it's still very early days. The virus has only been known about for a very short space of time. We have mutations occurring kind of all the time. It's probably something that's never going to go away completely, but if we can get kind of the majority of the population with a reasonable level of immunity, hopefully kind of we can get back to lives that are as near to normal as we had pre-pandemic, but at the moment I think there's still a lot of things that are uncertain and a lot of kind of long-term issues, and obviously kind of pandemics come and go all the time, so kind of we could be 10 years 20 years down the line and something else comes along, we have a new pandemic, so we never know what's around the corner.
I think everybody's going to change after the pandemic. I think we're more aware of each other, we become a lot more kind and caring, not that we weren't before anyway. So I think people's attitudes are going to be, they've changed slightly, but all for the better. So yeah, I think we've all changed for the pandemic with no sort of, we don't take things for granted anymore.
Yeah, because I see the future of them just carrying on as they were. I don't think they'll change much, but I'm not on the committee, so I don't know what kind of discussions they've had. But personally, I sit at home and I often wonder, could we do this virtually? Could we do that virtually? Could we like, like professionals are doing in this time, doing virtual concerts and things like that? Could we do that for the people that usually come and see our shows? So I think it's possible, and if they call the general annual meeting, which is like coming up shortly. I went to last year's because it was just before lockdown. It would be something I mention. Could we do virtual things? Would people, buy virtual tickets? So I think that the Minstrels could change, but whether they will, I don't know right now. But I think look into the future when like the current sort of leadership are no longer with us, and kind of the younger people decide if they want to carry it on. I think things might change anyway. So I think possibly is the answer. Possibly they might do different things, but I don't see it happening in the next 5 years at least.
I don't think it will. I think because it's more of a family and friends. We'll do it more. I think we all do it more for the laugh and for the social aspect. I mean, we all love doing the shows, but we are all there having a real good time and real fun, and we do all know each other. We've known each other. I mean, I was joined when I was 14, so 24, 34, 40. I've been there 34 years. So they are like family. You've just known them so long, and we know it ins and outs of everybody's lives. It is like it's more than just like it's not like going to a class, an exercise class where you just go, you do your exercise, go home. I mean, we do sort. I mean, at Christmas, I'm normally Christmas Eve, I'm in a minstrels party. Boxing Day, I'm usually at a minstrels party. New Year's Eve, there's another minstrels party. There's like everyone has set days. And then this year I did nothing, but like normally even like out of minstrels, all the parties are minstrels. I normally have like, sadly, I usually have a Eurovision party. I usually have a Wimbledon party. It's all that sort of stuff as well. But I think we'll all fall back straight into it, to be honest.
So everything will just go back to normal.
Yeah, it's just whether the audience. It's the audience. If we're happy to do it, it's whether the audience are happy to come. I think for a couple of years at least, there'll be a proportion of the audience that potentially won't attend, I think.
As we almost reach the end of the pandemic, who knows what the future will hold for us, as the minstrels will set out on their journey with no firm goal in sight. So they will carry on and have lots of fun.